And here we go. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Recruiting Ain't Easy podcast. I'm your host, Louis Swartz. If you're looking to join the U.S. Army overall or to get ready for Army basic training, I got you. Say less, fam. My mission here on Team Swartz is to help you navigate the joining process for the United States Army so that you can make a well-informed decision on whether or not it would be a good fit for you, for your reasons and your reasons alone, and to prepare yourselves both mentally and physically for Army basic training, understanding what to expect and some of the insights to help you mitigate some of those possible concerns for you and your family. However, quick little disclaimer here. By day, yes, I am a full-time recruiter for the New York Army National Guard and a part-time drill sergeant as my day job, and I'm conveniently located in New York City. But on my free time, I create videos around the enlistment or joining process of the United States Army as a whole and Army basic training. I represent myself, Louis, and this is, in every sense of the word, my personal page, or words, my personal page. Anything expressed here is within my videos are based on that of my own experiences, opinions, views, insights, and that of others, which means that this is not supported, endorsed, or sponsored by DoD, the United States Army, the Army National Guard, the New York Army National Guard, or any other government entity. So with that being said, if this is your first time here tuning in, welcome to the stream. Consider subscribing, hitting that bell icon, and turning on all notifications so you don't miss anything. I go live here pretty religiously every Wednesday evening. All right. So if you like those types of videos and live streams, go ahead and do that. And go ahead and comment in the chat box which state you're tuning in from if this is your first time here. Thank you for checking this out. And for my loyal Team Swartz squad members, you already know what to do. Drop that hashtag Team Swartz down below. All right. For you new folks tuning in, please refrain from repeating your questions. Please, for the love of God, do not repeat your question multiple times. I will get to you, okay? Because I do not and will not skip any questions or comments, or at least not on purpose. I am human, will, have human error, probably will happen at some point, but for the most part, I do not purposefully skip anyone's comments unless they're being rude, and at that point, I just pick and choose if I'm going to entertain it or not. Put you in timeout. Worst case scenario, I'll block you. You've been warned, all right? I go down the comments working from the oldest comments, working my way up to the newest or latest, most recent comments, all right? The only exception to this rule is if I receive a paid super chat or tip after finalizing the current response that I'm at, all right? I will then highlight the said super chat and immediately respond to them, then return to where I last left off. Furthermore, keeping the comments clean, all right? Keep them clean and respectful, or again, timeout or blocked, okay? With separate conversations going on within the chat box, this will do me a huge favor and begin your comment with a Q, knowing that that's for me. You have a question or a comment, but Q signals to me that it's directed to me, not for any other sidebar conversations going on in the chat box, all right? This helps speeds up the process of me getting to help out as many people as I can. I thank you for that, all right? I'm here from 7 to 9 p.m. I will do my best to get to each and every single comment that is posted before 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that said, let's get on with the show. All right, so let me put on the music here real quick. Play some Eating Ducks tunes here on StreamYard. Already got 20 comments up in here. And all right, so. All right, so let me fix my cell phone over here. All right, with that being said, starting off with Luis Rodriguez. All right, hope all is well. Dropping in the show to show support. Question is, what is the best MOS for going into the civilian law enforcement? All right, Luis, I say this all the time on my live streams, all the time. So I'm surprised that you're asking me this question. But with that being said, any MOS or military occupation specialty, for those who are new here and doesn't know what MOS means, all right? The job skills within the Army, we refer to them as MOS, your military occupation specialty. Any MOS within the United States military will work just as fine as anyone else when applying for civilian law enforcement agencies. Your MOS has no bearing, any advantage or disadvantage when going law enforcement. With that being said, it has been told to me by recruiters for law enforcement agencies that sometimes they would much rather you not be military police. The reason being is far too many prior service individuals who have gone civilian law enforcement agencies cannot separate the fact that they were military police in the military, and that's how you do things, which we call SOPs, your standard operating procedures, and what their SOP for the department, for the law enforcement agency that they currently work for. They're two separate entities enforcing two different laws. All right, military law is UCMJ, Military Code of Military Justice, and then you have these civilian, federal, state, and local laws. All right, so as a civilian law enforcement agent, you are to follow the SOP of your department. The issue that arises is that sometimes we have service members that go, well, in the Army or in the Air Force or whatever, this is how we do it and this is better. And they oftentimes get themselves into trouble because they think that the military way of doing things was or is a better version of what they should be doing, thus not following the department regulations, bylaws, and so on. So it is in your best interest, in my opinion as well, to not be military police or trying to do the same thing within the military to what you're doing on the outside for those of you in the Guard or Reserve. However, the only alibi that I have or contingency to this is for the younger folks, okay? If you are 17 to 24 years old with minimal to no work experience and you just focused on college, or maybe you were just living at home with mom and dad, mooching off them for as long as you possibly can, then I would highly suggest that you choose a job skill, if you can, for whatever it is that you're looking to do in the real world. So you can have that additional training and experience to put on your resume, thus making you more competitive in the workforce. If you're above 24, 25 years old, you have established yourself a job, maybe even beginning your career, or if you're older and have established a career or whatever, then no holds bar, whatever you feel like doing, because you're in there like swimwear, you got that experience and you're pretty much stable. But for the new folks getting their grasp, getting their footing, and they're looking for that at work experience and training they can put on their resume to get that started, then I would say do the same thing. And then later on, switch to something else. Especially like for to add on to this, let's say you are a military policeman in the Army and you enforce military law. You're going to go from one law enforcement agency to the next. You're going to be doing the same repetitive work. It gets monotonous, it gets boring. So again, if you're above 24, 25 years old, I would suggest that you do something else. And I'm always going to advocate you to do something that's going to give you real world experience and training in a trade or something that's going to be useful outside of the military. Cool, do infantry or any combat job, maybe for your initial contract, but look at seriously changing it to something else. All right, leave it for the younger, more able people. Not that older folks can't do it. It's just learn a new skill. Like, let's say you're going to own a house. Being a carpenter, a plumber, or an electrician in the Army will help you in the real world, in your personal life outside of the Army. You know what I'm saying? So it's just food for thought and things like that. I'm going to put this video here. It's called What Jobs Do I Pre-Qualify For After I Pass the ASVAB Test? The only disclaimer for this video is that I do a walkthrough on the GoArmy.com website when they had the ability to be able to plug in your line scores to figure out what job skills you qualify for. Unfortunately, when they revamped the website to look more modern and sleek, very sexy looking, but they did not include this feature anymore. So in the description area is a downloadable Excel sheet that we use as recruiters to help figure out what opportunities and MOSs or job skills that we can offer you after you pass the ASVAB test. And we filter that list based on that the video I just posted in that link. So definitely go check that out. All right. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Lewis. And we'll be talking soon. All right. So we got Young Savage with the hashtag Team Swartz. We got Sarah with the same. Thank you so much for tuning in. And Yasir. That's what I'm talking about. We got Yasir. Yasir. That's Yasir Muhammad, right? Let me know in the comments if that's you, because I got something to share with you. Something I've been meaning to share with you and completely forgetting. Is that Yasir Muhammad? from like the Midwest. You claim to be really, really skinny and you were concerned about being underweight. Is that you or is that somebody else I'm confusing you with? All right, so with Young Savage, how should someone mentally prepare for mission overseas? Basically, I would plan your life as if you're not going, and I'm gonna have you plan for your life as if you are going, because the Army or the military can drop a mission at the last possible moment. And let's say you're in college and you're like, well, there's no point in applying for the next semester because I'm not going to be here. Cool, I get it, but it's not uncommon for the Army to change their mind and you not have to go on that deployment or rotation or whatever you want to call it. All right, so always plan for both. And as far as mentally preparing, just make sure that whatever training you're receiving, just be like a sponge. Soak up as much as you can. Learn to lean on your battle buddies. Get your battle drills good. All right. Try to just be ready mentally for anything to happen, whatever it is that you're going. And you're gonna know what kind of a deployment or rotation that you're doing, what your roles and responsibilities are, but always be on your toes. Right. Battle buddy system always. It doesn't matter if you're with your own people. All right. Battle buddy wherever you go. All right. Now, I would definitely set up allotments if you're going to transfer money from the main account to your spouse. I definitely would set that up, not have them have direct access to your funds. The reason being is occasionally you'll have a spouse or significant other or a family member liquidate your funds while you're over there. Kind of harder to do that today than like over 10 years ago, but when like we were in anyway, I'm going down a rabbit hole, but yeah, set up allotments or direct transfers of your pay to another account that will cover all the bills and whatnot and things of that nature. And yeah, so and then automate all your bills, your rent or your mortgage, automate everything so that you don't even think about it and your spouse doesn't have to worry about it, or your family. Make sense? So kind of like this, pretty much similar to the same tips I have in my video of how to prepare for basic training. Again, to fight homesickness and stuff like that, bring photos with you. It's a lot easier today than ever before because you're going to be able to bring your cell phone, your laptop, or your iPad or tablet. You're going to have Wi-Fi access. You're going to be able to video chat every single night unless you're out in the field in the thick of things and you don't have that proper connectivity. But if you're on post, right, you're going to have access to the internet. It's not like it was 10 plus years ago. All right, you're going to have access to your family. All right, it's not a big deal. All right, or it's not as a big a deal as it used to be in the past. Everything seems to be automated, not necessarily automated, but routine basically. And we got everything down to a science. So what used to take 3 months to prepare you for deployment, you do part-time for the next 12 months leading up to your deployment. All right, well, at least for the Guard and Reserve. Don't really know for active duty regular Army though, which is full-time. But with that being said, that was a good question. Those are just some tips I could think of off the top of my head. What's going on, Bat Boss Jose? Appreciate you tuning in. We got Senator Charm Song with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Yes, Bat Boss Jose. Do you have any tips for the ASVAB? Yes, I have a couple videos that I did that are worth the watch. Okay. What is the ASVAB test based on? Where I break down exactly what's important for the ASVAB and how there are two different scores. You have the AFQT score, which is a score you need to be able to join. And then you have your line scores, which are 10 averages of multiple line scores combined to make up that one particular line score. The higher those line scores are, the more opportunities and job skills you're going to pre-qualify for. So understanding the ASVAB test and the way that I explain in the video will give you a good, thorough understanding of what to expect and what's important and what you should focus on for the ASVAB. Now, as far as the ASVAB test taking tips, these are the tips I always brief my applicants right before the ASVAB test and even before the practice test at the office. When I grew up in school, they always told us during a multiple choice test, when in doubt, choose C. A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. 3 equaling C, right? Because we use multiple choice of 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3, at least on the practice test, based on my experiment, 3 did score the highest of a 21. If you score anything less than a 21, I want to throat punch you. And I literally say that to them. So when in doubt, choose 3. It is proof in the pudding that 3 is the most commonly used answer on the test. Furthermore, as you know, or if you're not aware, each section is timed. So that means in the last 10-15 seconds, if you have questions that you're not going to have time to address or make an attempt to answer, 3 till you're done, because you have a 25% chance of getting that question correct by choosing 3 versus getting it 100% wrong by not even trying, because every question that is not attempted is going to be marked wrong and will count against you. Furthermore, last tip, paragraph comprehension. Read the question, then read the paragraph. You will quickly realize in all the questions that you receive, all the answers are in the first 2 to 3 sentences. Once you find the answer, stop reading, okay? Go to the multiple choice answer, choose the best choice. Just make sure, second pro tip, read the entire answer before making that your final selection. It's not uncommon for them to trick you up by switching up the words or doing something a little shady to make the answer sounding correct in the beginning to being incorrect or wrong. So be very careful with that. And those are pretty much my tips for the ASVAB. And some couple of YouTube channels you could check out to also study from is Grammar Hero, which is free, and he doesn't offer any tutoring services or anything like that. And Gaminol Tutors, which I'll be doing a live stream in the near future with, who does the same thing, but also has different tier levels, if I'm not mistaken, of different levels of education and teaching you different areas of the ASVAB to make you successful. All right, you got to understand something. When you're studying on your own for the ASVAB test, all right, you can't just take practice tests if it's not going to break down the answers you get wrong and show you and lead you to the correct answer. If it's not teaching you, you're just testing yourself on the same knowledge without learning or adding anything new to your brain or knowledge bank, correct? So if you're not adding anything new and you're not learning anything new, the definition of insanity is to do the same thing but expect a different result. So do yourself a favor, make sure you are studying, not just taking tests for the sake of taking tests. Unless that test breaks it down Barney style, shows you step by step by step, leading you to the correct answer so that you are learning. Take notes, and consistency is king or queen, okay? So, but stay tuned for that future live stream. And a couple other videos that I want you to check out is this one here. Check out the notes below that one, because that's going to go for all 3 of these videos that I'm putting here in the chat box. Okay. All right. So moving right along to Amber Denson. My husband arrived at reception yesterday. I hope the time goes fast and I'm ready to see him already. I hear you, Amber. Hang in there. All right. May the training gods forever be in your favor, and that nothing happens, and that he or she graduates on time and is healthy and happy and motivated as ever. All right. Appreciate you tuning in. Thank you. We got Joshua with the hashtag Team Swartz tuning in from Alabama. We got Maryland up here with Senator Charmsong. Wesley Edwards with the hashtag Team Swartz. We got Maryland again. Flo Rida with Papi Champo. All right. We got David Vieto. Well, we got a lot of hashtags Team Swartz tonight. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, all you people. Appreciate you. Let's see. We got Wesley Edward with the preface. I understand you're not MEPS and don't take your answer as law. Okay. All right. I'll get to you in a second. Looks like you started to, but it took you a while to get it out. I'm not even seeing anything. I see a second message, but I don't see you actually posting your message. Probably too long, maybe, or maybe something's being blocked. I don't know. But anywho, appreciate you tuning in, Wesley. No, it's not for me. It's not for me. Okay, here we go. Young Savage, what motivated you to make this YouTube channel? Was it because you wanted to reach more people as a recruiter, or did you just have a passion for YouTube itself? Neither of those, but it does help with my full-time job. So let me break that down for you. All right. So, really quick story. As a high school student, I had a passion for helping people. I ended up being a volunteer fireman for my local town. So I like putting the wet stuff on the hot stuff. I also did Boy Scouts for a short term until I felt that I don't remember what we call them at the time, but the leader of the group or pack or whatever you want to call him, like the head Boy Scout leader or what have you. Anyway, let's just say it got really uncomfortable and my spidey senses were going off, so I just simply stopped going. But I always liked being in the outdoors. I liked survival. I've always been into war movies, and I knew since I was a little boy that I was going to be a soldier or somebody in the United States military. And with that being said, when I was a high school student, I knew for me, based on my interests, college was not something that was in my highest priority at the time, because unless my career plan required college, I didn't really have a desire to go to college. So with that being said, once I found out when I was joining the Army National Guard as a high school senior, I did not pass the eye exam for the color test. I ended up finding out that I am red-green colorblind, and I could not be infantry or anything at that time. Maybe I could have gotten a waiver, but they didn't offer it to me at the time because I was going to go in for 13 Foxtrot Forward Observer in a field artillery company. Long story short, I ended up having 3 options, which were all basically administrative or human resources related. So I ended up enlisting or joining as a 71 Lima, 71L, or an administrative assistant at the time, which is now the modern day 42 Alpha human resources specialist in a field artillery company. So I ended up cross training and doing all that 13 bang bang stuff, which was a hell of fun. And so that was a lot of fun. Anyway, so when I became a recruiter in 2004, I truly believe in the mission for the National Guard. I felt like you were an idiot if you did not like or appreciate or think that the National Guard was a good option for you. I just could not fathom in my mind to why you would not want to join. Okay. And so to answer your question, in before 2012, I had a Facebook page, Facebook and an Instagram page called Workout for Your Life. I did a Beachbody MLM type business where I was selling workout DVDs and supplements and equipment. And I really enjoyed it, but it detracted me from my day-to-day job as a recruiter. And at the time, at the time I was like, you know what if I put this same amount of energy and focus and did it for basic training tips? And for the longest time, I didn't even do anything about recruiting related topics because I didn't want it to be about recruiting, because the worst fear I had at that time, for the longest time, for several years, was I didn't want to do a recruiting related video because I was afraid that people would be like, oh, he's a sellout, he's just looking for people to join, blah blah blah. So I always was worried about adding value to the individual, and if it led to them wanting to join through me, then that was a different story. But everything was mostly about joining or going through Army basic training, and eventually I started trickling in just general tips about the joining process. So fast forward, by the 2015, I wasn't even I was on YouTube. I did like 10 videos, but I made the mistake of doubling down on Instagram at the time, and I got as high as like 34,000 on Instagram, and my community was so tight. I mean, I'm on it like white on rice and a white paper plate, being eaten by a polar bear in the middle of the Arctic, pooping out a whole lot of snowflakes, which is a whole lot of white, like every day. Like, I'd be up until like 2-3 o'clock in the morning doing my thing on the gram, growing it. And long story short, I went from 345 followers in 6 months to over 18,000 followers in a matter of 6 months. Anyway, I got it up to 34,000. They were so tight that if a USAREC, meaning regular Army active duty recruiter, came at me sideways in the comments, I would have to slide in the DMs to that recruiter and apologize on the behalf of my followers for verbally and virtually attacking them for coming at me sideways. That's how strong it was. Then the light bulb went off at some point in 2018. So I went through a life activating event and I kind of like took a backpedal of content creation, but I'm taking a really long way around to answer your question, but stick with me. Maybe I'll do a long form video on this, but I'm not doing it for YouTube and I'm not doing it because I'm a recruiter. Me getting people to want to join through me is a byproduct of me helping people. So my main mission is exactly what it is that I'm saying. I'm trying to help out as many people because when I joined, and this is the main motivation for me doing it. When I joined, I had to deal with true toxic leadership, true toxic recruiting tactics. And I said to myself, I wish I had somebody like this when I was joining who was gonna shoot it straight and just be upfront with the information and be accurate without being biased and selling you on one thing. And through my experience of dealing with horrible recruiters at the time, with all components of the Army except for the National Guard. Anyway, I ended up joining the Guard because the recruiter came off as genuine, non-pressure salesman and told it to me like it was and treated me like a human being. Anyway, that's why I created YouTube, is to genuinely help people make a well-informed decision for their reasons and their reasons alone. Not because I say it's a good idea, not because somebody like Christopher Chaos says that this is better, or Ben Allen says that, or some other YouTuber from another branch of services that they should go there, or like, I'm not pro one branch over the other, although shameless plug, National Guard, make it happen. No, but I'm serious. But seriously though, as long as you're joining the military, I don't care. But my job, my role and responsibility in my mind is to help you make that decision. All right. And make an accurate and good one. Because there's nothing worse. And I get DMs all the stinking time. Hey son, I joined the regular Army. I didn't know this or that. Is there any way I can back out of my contract and not ship? Or after I'm done with training, can I transfer to the National Guard? Or can I get out because this ain't for me? You know, that's what I'm trying to prevent, is people making a mistake. And that's why I do it. And it just happens to be on YouTube. So somewhere around 2018, I did an audit from all the people I knew that I got through Instagram. And every single one of them said, no, I actually found you on YouTube, but you told us to reach out to you on Instagram. And that's where I reached out to you. And that's when we engaged in dialogue. And I was like, huh. So this whole time I've been getting people from YouTube, and I literally only did like 10 cheesy videos. Literally, like all I did was hit record on my cell phone, hit end record, added my name, logo of the New York Army National Guard, my phone number, and that was enough. It was just me talking to the camera. No flashy like graphics, text, or anything like that. Just me talking. And then like the light bulb went off. I was like, I should switch and transition from Instagram to YouTube. And that's been my main platform since 2020, I want to say. So from 2018 to 2020, I didn't really take YouTube that serious. I barely had 2,000 subscribers. Again, I didn't put that much effort into it. I was still going through something at that time. And then summer of 2020, I doubled down on YouTube, and I made sure for at least the first 2 years after that, was it 2020, not 2022. Yeah. So from 2020 to 2022, for 2.5 years, I pretty much religiously dropped a pre-recorded video every week and live stream religiously every Wednesday. And I stuck to that schedule, tried and true, for over 2 years. And I went from 2,000 subscribers to where I'm at now. Now, 2023, that was a season of character development, both mentally, physically, professionally, and personally. Stay tuned for a future update video for 2023 in review. But with that being said, that was a long-winded response to why I'm here. So Young Savage, I'm here for you guys, not for me, for you. And it's a way for me to kind of like be a volunteer, kind of like the National Guard. I like to help people, and that's why I'm here. All right. So anyway, good question. Liked it. We got Obi. What is this? Let's see. Obim Akwin. Yeah. right? With the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Great videos. Thank you. There is a shortage of chaplain in the New York Army National Guard. If you are enrolled as an entry-level guardsman, can you join the chaplain corps before the end of the contract? You can go chaplain at any point. So I would definitely get with or direct message me on Instagram. Hey, let me click that. So definitely direct message me on Instagram. I'll get you the point of contact to our chaplain. He or she will reach out to you and will make sure that you meet the criteria, and they'll help you do your OCS packet for your direct commission as a chaplain. I don't remember all of them off the top of my head. That's a specialty officer recruiter type stuff, but you have to be, it depends on the religion, I guess. But yeah, there is a shortage, and you should definitely go for it. That's what you want to do. All right, Dice the Gamer. All right, real quick question for you. I'm not sure if you're still here, but I'm going to type this real quick. So there's hyperthyroidism, and then there's hypothyroidism. Hyper is not waiverable. No waivers authorized. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You are a no-go at this station. All right. However, hypothyroidism can be a condition that you can join with and use your current prescription and continue to use that prescription with no medical waiver if you follow those things. So get those things, get those submitted. I don't care what your recruiter tells you. Get these new records and evaluations and results. Have your recruiter submit a complex pre-screen, and I guarantee you, if it's within the parameters that would pre-qualify you, again, no waiver required. For years, I kept turning people away, and I wish I knew this sooner. You're welcome. Merry effing Christmas on a January or Merry belated Christmas. All right, get in boots. All right, so we got Jasmine Joy here. Says, what are ways to join above E1 without college experience? Too easy. All right. So there are several different ways one could advance in rank at time of enlistment or post enlistment. And then there's pre and post initial entry training. Stay with me. But just so that you brought this up and just so that everyone knows real quick, at time of enlistment, I'll cover first. I will cover college just because I'm sure someone will ask. If you have 24 or more college credits, you will join as a private E2. If you are a 2-year degree holder, like an associate's, or with 48 or more college credits, you'll join as a private first class E3. When I say E1, E2, E3, I'm referring to your pay grade as an enlisted soldier, E or enlisted. All right. If you're joining and you have a 4-year degree or higher, you're going to join as a specialist E4. All right. If you don't have college credits, but you happen to have a specific MOS with specific credentials, I'll only cover 2 in this moment. There are others, but for the most common MOSs, it's 68 Whiskey, which is a combat medic. All right. If you have your national basic EMT certification, you'll be able to join as a 68 Whiskey through the program we call ACASP, or Civilian Acquired Skills Program. And you don't even need college for this. If you're a private E1 because you have no college, if you go through the ACASP and it's approved with your credentials through the schoolhouse, not only will you join as a specialist E4, but you'll skip the Civilian National Basic EMT civilian training, and you'll go straight to the Army medical training portion of your AIT, or your advanced individual training. Okay. Now, the other one is 88 Mike, or motor transport, aka truck driver. All right. If you have some variation or multiple CDL driver's license credentials and experience to back it up, We submit that to the schoolhouse. If they approve it, again, you'll join as a specialist D4. You'll skip certain portions of your training and whatnot, and you'll join as a specialist D4 if I didn't already say that. And same thing, that's part of the civilian acquired skills program. Recently, within the last year or so, they added quite a few more MOSs that will qualify for ACAS, or Civilian Acquired Skills Program, but I'm not quite sure if they too will advance you to the rank of specialist or not. But those two, for sure, on the top of my head, will get you to specialist E4. Now, you're in there like swimwear, you signed your contract. How do I get promoted? Easy, 2 ways: stripes for skills and stripes for buddies. Stripes for skills requires you to pass your Army combat fitness test. All right. In addition to that, there is a written portion and a practical exercise that you'll do physically. The paper version is testing you on like land navigation, the basic knowledge that you'll need to know, like the Soldier's Creed, the Warrior Ethos, the Army Song, the Soldier's Creed, so on and so forth. All those types of things that you should memorize at time of enlistment, to include basic first aid, so on and so forth. Now, there are some practical exercises with first aid and or with like DNC or drill and ceremony and so on and so forth, knowing positions of the halt, the hand salute, right, the facing movements, so on and so forth. I have a study guide in my video on how to prepare for basic training right here. In the description area is a downloadable study guide that will help you get your stripes for skills test done, all right? But if you cannot pass the Army combat fitness test right now, don't worry about it. Stripes for buddies is very lucrative, okay? In the past, you had to have referred somebody to sign a contract before leaving, up to private first class E3. Now you can refer people up to E4 specialist, and you will still advance in rank even if you leave to training and the person that you referred ultimately enlists, providing that they're annotated within the DD form 1966 and some other stuff. Just making sure that the recruiter that is processing your referral inputs your information as the referrer or the referring person. Hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, you can combine the two, right, with the stripes of skills and stripes for buddies, because stripes of skills can only help you go from E1 to E2. You can combine that with, you do the stripes for skills to E1 to E2. One referral will get you to E3. Second one will get you to E4. Or if you don't want to do the stripes for skills program and do only stripes for buddies, one person will get you to E2, second person will get you to E3, third person to E4. And you're getting, at least in my state, a New York State recruiting medal for that referring person. And because of the recruiting crisis, they're also offering a federal award or medal and ribbon that you can put on your uniform for that referral as well, in addition to promotion points and advancing in rank. So that's how you have it. That's pretty much it. So good question. All right, we got Hexibara with the I'm feeling hopeless. I failed that, whatever that is, and I'm getting older. I think I can no longer move to US and join the military. I'm sorry to hear that. Unfortunately, I'm not sure what the NCL EX is, but hopefully it works out for you. Sorry to hear that. And Wesley, this is what I was saying I saw in your experience, but I didn't see anything after this when I looked earlier, so hopefully you got in a comment later. All right, so we got Munchies452. Just want to say thank you. I came across your videos about 6 months ago. It definitely has been a big help. I'm headed to MEPS next Tuesday. Wish me luck. Active Duty Army 12 Bravo. Excellent choice. Great MOS. You can have lots of fun, especially with the explosives portion of the 12 Bravo training. That was a lot of fun. And you're welcome, and I appreciate your kind words. And with that being said, good luck at MEPS. May the MEPS gods forever be in your favor. Hell yeah. All right, so we got a Big Pen question for the guard. If I've ever been on SSRIs, are my options either wait 2 years and or get a note clearing me from the doctor as long as the Genesis program is around? Hashtag Team Swartz. Thank you for that hashtag Team Swartz. Now, I'm not sure what SSRIs are, but I'm assuming that that has something to do with maybe some sort of medication. So depending on the medication, you would need to be off of it for a minimum of like 6 to 8 weeks, upwards to 36 months, depending on the severity of and what you were diagnosed with, the history of your medication, the dosage, how long you were on it, and how long you've been off of it and stable, and all that stuff. So it really depends on your unique circumstances and history. So definitely check out this video. This video is my U.S. Army Medical Waiver Guide and best tips, insights, and all that good stuff on the Army medical waiver process. Okay, this will significantly improve your favorable consideration when submitting your medical waiver if you follow that to the T. Okay, so good luck on your waiver, and may the waiver gods forever be in your favor. Okay. Fat Boss Jose says thank you. You're very welcome. You got Yama Grizzly. If the last physical you did at MEPS was January 26 in 2022, do you need to fully redo your medical if you don't make it to MEPS by the 26th? If I make it to MEPS again before, do they look into your records again? As long as your medical exam on January 26th in 2022 was passing and that there's no pending anything on the medical side, then you're good to go until the 2-year anniversary. If you do not enlist, so if you did your medical on the 26th, that means you got all the way up until the 25th of January of 2024 to sign your contract or be subjected to Genesis and redoing your MEPS medical exam. So hurry up. All right, so we got Alberto Duerta says, I'm going to Fort Moore in a few days. What if I get overweight to basic? Don't worry about it. They might send you to 09 Mike, but more than likely they're just going to let you rock it out. I haven't had anyone sent home for being overweight. You don't even check your height and weight on MEPS anymore when shipping. All right, so we got Senator saying, LOL, I was told to choose A. Sorry to hear that. Easy peasy. P says, oh, that's not for me. Ooh, we got South Jersey artist with the hashtag Team Swartz helping out as always. Also a channel member. And for you and for everybody else who is a channel member, when I finally finish my edit for the updated 2024 basic training overview video, towards the end, I got a little surprise recognizing those who are my true supporters on the channel members portion of YouTube. I don't even know what it's called, but yeah, the members area, the members only area. And you can tell by the next to the right of his name with the circle and the 2 diagonal lines from the top and bottom. That's how you know when they're a Team Swartz channel member. Oh, suppressive medicines, mental. Yeah, 36 months. Again, it depends on the severity of the diagnosis, the length, and all that stuff. So yeah, man, just follow those tips. Hey, thanks for the assist there, South Jersey. You're definitely coming in clutch. I still don't know what NCLEX is. But with that being said, moving right along to Amber says, thank you. You're very welcome. Wesley with this. I didn't see any questions after this, but hopefully, I mean, this goes for anybody here. Like, if for some reason I don't see your question or comment, you can always direct message me on Instagram. Everyone will attest that I get to you. I try to get to y'all within a week, sometimes a little bit longer, but to make you feel better and don't be offended, like if I don't open it up right away, just know that I see your DM or direct message. I just don't want to open it up until I know that I have the time on hand to be able to address whatever question or concern that you have. All right, so I don't want, the worst thing I want is, I'd rather you feel uncomfortable with me not reading it right away versus me reading it and leaving you on red until I eventually get around to responding. So hopefully that makes sense. But just know that I will get back to you. Wow, we haven't seen you in a while. In a minute. Dead Shutter NYC. That's what I'm talking about. Hashtag Team Swartz to the moon. Hell yeah. All right, so we got learning arts and animations plus random stuff. Animations plus. Sounds interesting. All right, so hashtag Team Swartz with the fire emojis. That's what I'm talking about. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Prior service, looking to get back into the Army. My old ASVAB score, 2 points shy for an MOS. I'm eyeing. Any voucher for that? So per normal routine enlistment criteria, prior service is not allowed to have line score waivers. However, a few weeks ago, we had the waiver department give a class, phenomenal class. I forgot the instructors' names, the ones that actually run those departments. Phenomenal classes. Anyway, he basically said it doesn't matter if they're prior service or non-prior service, and this probably accounts to, or not accounts, but it's in part due to the recruiting crisis. So depending on the MOS, we can request a telephonic waiver for anybody. All right, 1-2 points, probably not that big of a deal. And yes, they told us that they approved not too long ago 2 points for an MOS that required a top secret clearance for this person. Now, I don't know if they had civilian credentials in this area or whatnot, but with that being said, they did approve a line score waiver for a prior service individual. Now, this can't be done the day of or the day before you go for your contract. This process takes about a week. So your recruiter needs to have your guidance counselor reach out to the schoolhouse a week prior via email requesting a line score waiver for the particular MOS that you're looking to join. If approved, then you'll be able to join in that MOS with that line score waiver. All right. So we got Alex Morgenstern. Can you negotiate Airborne school for a 12 Bravo in the reserve, even if they don't have an Airborne unit in your area? All right. So Alex, that is a direct question that you should give your active duty regular Army, or what we refer to as your USAREC recruiter, who can enlist or contract people into the regular Army full-time and the Army Reserve. All my experience is with the Army National Guard. Now, if South Jersey Artisan did not already address this in the chat box, which I hope he did, because he is a former active duty recruiter, highly successful, highly motivated. And what I really like him is he's a genuine cool dude, and he genuinely cares for his applicants and soldiers. Now, with that being said, you can ask for whatever you want, whether or not that's provided to you. And if all right, so here's the deal, right? Whatever it is that you want, and if it's available and it can be it can happen, then it can happen. If it can't, it can't. All right. Now at OSUT, they may offer you that school while you're there. All right. Most schools, most opportunities now are being recruited from. What are you laughing at, South Jersey Artisan? What are you laughing at? Actually, you did actually respond to me earlier. But yeah, if it's available and they can give it to you, yes. But understand, you're in the reserve and it's not MOS specific, and you're not going into an airborne unit. So it's a luxury to get that if you're outside of that. And that's why it's like, and that's why it's called kind of like an incentive, right? It's not guaranteed or obligated to you. So if it's available, great. But let South Jersey Artisan do that. So NCLEX is the National Council Licensing Examination, is a comprehensive test administered by the National Council of State Boards of Nursing. Oh, okay. Now I forgot what the question was. Oh, man. My bad, your fault. If you haven't shipped, they can request the Airborne in addition to your medical. All right, there you have it. And again, he's a former active duty recruiter, giving it to you straight. No strings attached, not even your recruiter. So, no, like, he's not gaining or losing anything by telling you that. All right, so with that being said, we got Super Friday. What MOS do you recommend? I love these questions. You know why? Every single MOS is the next best thing since sliced bread. All right, now I am a recruiter by day, and I say this to all my applicants. There's not one MOS that's better than another unless I've taken the time to genuinely get to know you, what your goals are, what your aspirations are, what you want to do with life now and later, and what your interests are, what you dislike, and basically try to figure out what any possible deal breakers that you might have as well. So with that said, I don't know you, Super Friday, at all. Like, I don't know any of that information to give you an intellectual response that will genuinely help you. And honestly, for myself and for anybody else that you ask that question to, is answering that question based on their value system, on what they feel is important to them, not you. That's why I tell people all the time, join for your reasons and your reasons alone. Yes, you can listen to people like myself or others, but at the end of the day, you only have one life to live. You do what you want to do for you, boo-boo, all right? Just do you, all right? If you like it and you feel like you're going to like it, or you research it and you know you're going to like it, go for it, all right? As long as you qualify for it and it's available and there's a training seat available for you at time of contracting, go for it, all right? That's what I recommend, all right? Just hearing the test with the pressure test. Oh, gotcha. And if you're MLS qualified, there you go. My man, help me out tonight. Awesome. All right. We got Amy Lake. All right. Says, at MEPS, are you pressured to sign to join while there, or can you go through MEPS and then continue to think about joining? All right. So, Amy Lake, these are my thoughts. Now, you can step process where you go one day just for the test, another day just for the medical, and then once fully committed and you lock in the job of choice and all that good stuff, you join on the third day. That's a 3-day process, minimum 3-day process, not including any possible consults and all that jazz. Now, you could do same day processing where you do where we would basically PICAT you first. If you want to know what the PICAT is, it's definitely worth a watch and something you definitely want to knock out, because if you do well on it, it'll help you on the day of the same day processing. So you knock out the PICAT, which we can do at the recruiting office or at home. Then we schedule you for the full version ASVAB or the verification test, which is like 20-40 minutes long. And then you do the medical exam and the contract all in one day, hence the name same day processing. So instead of doing three days plus the hotel night before, so actually that's like 6 days or 4.5 days, then, you know, it is what it is. But same day processing, the afternoon before you go to the hotel, you'll process all the same day. Hopefully, God willing, you pass everything and you do everything on the same day. Now, that's what the process is, okay? Now, my 2 cents on this particular topic is a lot of recruiters, if not most recruiters, are going to do what you want to do, which is go do the test and medical just to see if you're pre-qualified, and hope and pray that they can convince you, persuade you, push you, strong arm you, pressure you into joining. Not me, of course, but yeah. And with that said, I don't want to take, like, me personally as a recruiter, I technically, and majority of the time, I don't even want to take you to MEPS unless you're committed. Or if I ask you from a scale 1 to 10, 10 meaning put me in coach, to 1, I'm thinking about it. If you're a 9 or a 10, I'm taking you for, if you're doing a medical only, I'll be okay with you doing a medical only, because I feel like once you're fully qualified and you, all that stuff, then you'll be fully committed shortly after that, if not that same day. If you're anything less than that, it's a judgment call based on the warm and fuzzy I may be sensing from you, leveraging my recruiting senses or spidey sense, right? So, but you know, each recruiter is to each its own. But yes, just so you and anybody else who's watching this, you literally have, even if you completed the medical and you're there for the contract, you have all the way up to the moment, and you could actually swear in. You swear in, you raise your right hand and you do the oath. You have all the way up to the moment where you actually sign the dotted line to back out. And I've had that happen a handful of times in my almost 20 years of experience, maybe 3 or 4 times. But with that being said, that is the truth, all right? I even brought somebody to MEPS 6 times. 6 separate times to go sign his contract as a papers only, and he would just get cold feet. True story. I wish I was a fly in the wall when I saw this. He was my third recruit. My third recruit. We're going back almost 20 years ago. My third recruit. I'll never forget him. Michael Lyons is his name. God bless his soul. We had a recruiter, Sergeant First Class Lynch, well then Staff Sergeant Lynch. Pulls me up one day. This is the 6th time. In my head, I was like, if he doesn't sign, that's it. I'm done. Story time, okay? I don't want to bore you all, but for me, it's a funny story. So apparently he was in the bathroom pacing back and forth. And Sergeant Lynch had called me and said, hey, yo, this guy's yours? I was like, yeah. What's his story? And I told everything I knew about him at the time. And he goes, he's been here 6 times. This is the 6th time. And every time he's backed out. I was like, yeah. Dude, he went to that bathroom. Apparently, I guess he grabbed him by the shirt. Physically, can't get away with that now, but dragged him into the bathroom stall, pushed him up against the wall, and said, listen here, you limp Nick mother effer. Those were his exact words, but R-rated if you can put your mind to it. He said, Sergeant Swartz has been going hell over heels to get you here. And this is the 6th time bringing you here. It's either you make it happen or you go home. Let's just say he signed his contract that day. And from that day moving forward, he never liked Sergeant Lynch. Sergeant Lynch is a phenomenal dude. Awesome guy. I love that guy. Comical as hell. Awesome. Good all around. Wholesome guy. Like, you definitely want him in your corner. Anyway, and I'm not just saying it because he did that for me, but like I love that dude. So Sergeant Lynch, I doubt you'll see this, but I love you, man. Hope you're doing well. Anyway, with that being said, that's that. All right, so John movie, I'm gonna come back to you, okay? I just got a super chat, so let me go take care of that. We got Muhammad Khan that says, I had a bonus in the contract. I finished AIT 3 months ago, but I still did not get it. All right, so Muhammad, really, really good question and concern, but you shouldn't be too concerned just yet. And I'm going to explain to you what is happening right now as we speak. Okay. First of all, your unit needs to put in to disperse the payment or first payment for your bonus. Okay, they need to initiate the payment. Now, with that being said, what's going on right now is usually, so for the military, we go by fiscal year, not calendar year. So our brand new year is October 1st. Typically, Congress will pass this fiscal year's annual budget by the end of December. We're now in January, and they're kicking the can down the street because they can't get their head out of their butts and come to an agreement and make it happen. So what you're running into is that the budget for this fiscal year is still pending. It has not been approved yet. So all bonuses and incentives that are of monetary value are being paused until the budget is approved, because the money is there. It's just we don't have access to it yet. It has not been approved yet. So that's why you're not going to see your bonus until Congress passes the budget. So just hang in there, be frugal, be responsible, create a budget, live within your means, not beyond your means. So practice responsible spending. Okay. All right. I heard something today that I really, really liked, that it resonated a lot with me. More for content creation, because I'm going to be creating a course for recruiters and what I do here on YouTube. But proper planning prevents poor performance? Can't remember. Something like that. The old adage was, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So just be responsible with your money, and you will get your money because you did sign for it. It's just, that's the hiccup. That's the issue at this moment. All right. Okay. So John, Oh, and Muhammad Khan, thank you so much for supporting the channel. Appreciate the super chat. You definitely didn't need to do that, and you're very welcome. Thank you. I just heard what artist, South Jersey artisan. So John, pretty soon everyone will be joining the army with everything going on in the world. Well, this world is looking froggy, and I'm no fortune teller, but proper planning prevents poor performance. Hell yeah, 6 Ps. Hell yeah. Yeah, I just heard that one. It was a YouTube channel called Value Mate, something along those lines. It wasn't. Oh, I think it was his channel, but it was Think Media, Sean Cannon, who said it on that segment, that podcast. All right, so with that being said, it's better to be with people that you know than being forced last minute to be with people that you don't know. So you might as well sign up with your friends in the guard, you know what I'm saying? Or reserve or whatever. We're all good. But with that being said, yeah, I would rather you join because you want to join and you have somewhat of control of what it is that you're doing and where you're going versus you're drafted and you need to report here and this is where you're going, right? So just my 2 cents. All right, Young Savage says, what's your opinion on people saying they should have joined the Air Force? What do you think about those opinions? Why do you think they always end up wishing they joined that branch? I've never served in the Air Force, so I can't speak on why they go. I guess that I'll never forget him. He's now a retired Master Sergeant, whatever it is in the Air Force, but an E8 in the Air Force. When I met him, he was my neighbor when I was living on Fort Hamilton in Brooklyn, and he was recruiting for active Air Force. I was recruiting for the National Guard, obviously. No shocker. And I remember one day, we got along really well. We ended up, pardon my French, shooting the shit at MEPS a lot. And I really like his personality. He's pretty cool. And yeah, man, I remember hanging out in his office one day and we were just shooting the shit. And he literally bragged, I will never forget it. Because maybe not today, but back then, I refer to Air Force recruiters as processors, not recruiters. Because they didn't have to find anyone. Recruiters go out and recruit and look for people to join. Air Force recruiters had a line out the door and around the corner, and then some. And in my opinion, they treat their applicants like trash. Not necessarily trash, but you got to understand the Air Force, you got to be self-disciplined, self-motivated, and be all about doing things on your own without being spoon-fed, forced, or reminded and handheld the entire time. All right. In the infamous words of Master Sergeant Ramos, he said to me that, what did he say? I forgot what I was talking about here. Hang on. I'm having a bald moment. I swear I'm. Dang it. I forgot where I was going with that story. Anyway, I forgot what he quoted. Awkward. All right. So anyway, he was bragging to me that his butt. Oh, yeah. I think I know what I was talking about. Anyway, his butt imprint on the seat was what he was bragging about, that he never had to leave his seat and that people kept coming to him. And yeah, recruiters will send you the application. They'll send you to test. Sometimes they'll even send you in an Uber to go do things on your own. Literally go take the test, the medical and all that stuff. Like, they're not hands-on like the other branches. Oh, I know what he said. This is what he said. Whew, came back to me. All right, focus. I think I need some focus factor. All right. Being in the Air Force is the closest to being a civilian while being in the military. It is literally run like a corporation, not like the military. It's run like a corporation. That was the way he described it to me. So with that being said, and this is just based on hearsay and some observation, Air Force is a bit more laid back. It's not as intense and militant. Again, it's more like a corporation than a military. So it's, for a lack of a better phrase, softer. And some people want an easy life. And that's why they choose the Air Force, because it's easier. Not sure if it's better, but it's not as challenging as being in any other branch of service, if that makes sense. And again, this is my ignorant assessment and opinion on observation and hearsay. So don't take that for word. Just take that with a grain of salt. All right. Do your own research, do your own homework, and choose for yourself. All right. So we got Philip's Adventure that says, "Hi, baby. 25 years old, married. I have one of 3 associates done. A third of my associates done, and I want to serve part-time, either National Guard or Air National Guard. I want to become a pilot. What route would you recommend? I live near to Portland." I'm not sure if Portland has anything to do with that or what is over there as far as like the Air Guard and stuff like that. But with that being said, you're definitely going to need a technical degree, a technical 4-year degree, and you have to score extremely high on the ASVAB test, because to be a commissioned officer in the Air Force is highly, highly, highly competitive, 1. And 2, again, if you have anything other than a technical degree, they're not even going to accept your OCS packet to become a pilot. And try to get a degree in aeronautics if you can. But again, I'm not an Air Force recruiter. I would bounce these questions off of an Air Force or Air National Guard recruiter to find out what it is that they're looking for. But through prior conversations with Air Force recruiters, that's what they've always told me. You need a technical degree. Doesn't need to be in aeronautics, although that helps. It's kind of like icing in the cake, but it definitely has to be at minimum a technical degree. All right, so that's that. Now, as far as what route would you recommend? I would say definitely finish your education. So yeah, Air Guard would be a good fit for you to be part-time, be immersed into that ecosystem and being part of that component of the Air Force. And once you get your technical degree finished, then I would submit your OCS packet to become a pilot. Yeah, so, and look at the rest of the criteria that is part of that pilot application process. But I'm not Air Guard or Air Force, so I have very limited. I'm pretty much ignorant. I know nothing about the Air Force. All right, but with that being said, appreciate your comment. Young Savage says, "Thank you for what you do for us. Hashtag Team Swartz." I appreciate you appreciating me. How about that? All right, so we got Liberty 408. "Leaving Monday for basic training. Future 35 Foxtrot. Hashtag Team Swartz." Hell yeah, that's an awesome MOS. That's what I'm talking about. And you're welcome, Philip's Adventures. All right, so Dice the Gamer says, "I'm here." Okay, thanks. I remember what I said, but appreciate you. All right, question from Knighton Arc says, if you don't know how to swim at boot camp, will you be sent home? I don't know which branch to join yet." All right, first of all, the Army does not require you to pass a swim test unless you're a combat diver or special forces or ranger school and all that stuff. But for normal enlistment, as a normal enlisted soldier, is not a requirement in the Army unless you go on a specific route that does require it. In general, for the Army, it's not required. Now, if you're joining a branch of the military like the Coast Guard, the Navy, the Marines, yeah, they do require you to pass a swim test. They minimally teach you while you're there, but yes, if you fail the swim test, you will be discharged. You have to pass a swim test. All right, so if you need to get those lessons, I am self-taught. Now, by no means am I an Olympic swimmer or anything like that, or professional or anything. I have the doggy paddle down pat. I have underwater swimming down pat. I can hold my breath pretty long, believe it or not, and freestyling. But I don't kick. I just don't have the hip mobility, flexibility, and agility to do the frog thing that people do for certain movements when they're swimming. That's not me. And then like when you're treading water, you like alternate your feet in a similar fashion like a frog. But yeah, I just can't do it. It just hurts my hips too much. So I end up just going like this, and I go like this with my hands, and keep your chest mostly inflated, and then like shallow breathe, and just keep all the air in your lungs, and that helps you stay more buoyant. All right. But yeah, not required. The Andromeda says, yo, what normally happens during a psych evaluation? So they're going to ask you about your past, whatever, because they don't get anything from MEPS, but they're going to go through a series of questions to dig into your past a little bit, figure out the why on certain things. They're looking for if you have any goals or aspirations or things that you want to achieve in life, basically. That, I forgot the technical term, but yeah, you know, you're not just living life to live life. Like you found purpose, you have a direction and somewhere you want to go. Like you have goals, right? And they pretty much want to know why, how did you deal with it, how did you overcome it, what possible coping mechanisms you used then, do you use any coping mechanisms now, like fully own it, don't downpat it, downplay it, all that good stuff. And what support system did you have then, and do you have a support system now, and how do you deal with it now, and is it a problem now, and do you think that it will be a problem in the future? And it's very, very important that you watch this video here, because this goes into more detail. It's my medical waiver guide, insights and tips and tricks to give you the most possible favorable outcome of your medical waiver. All right, good luck to you. All right, so Meijin said, no, if you can't swim, you will, yeah, pretty much. So Wesley Edwards asked, nursing test, you may still have OCS. So I'm not a specialty OCS recruiter. I only recruit for like regular basic OCS. All right. Anything that goes into the medical field, chaplain, JAG, I feel like I might be missing. Oh, and warrant officers. Those are specialty commissioning programs that I cannot directly recruit for. So I would direct you to direct that question to an AMED recruiter. Now, I have a lot of plans this year. I don't know when this will happen, but I would like to very much bring an AMED recruiter onto my channel to cover things like this. So if you'd like, you can direct message me on Instagram if you're still here, Wesley. Post your questions that you would ask an AMED medical recruiter about your specific nursing questions. And I'll see if I can get those questions answered for you during that podcast. Hexi Barra says it's nursing license exam for US. Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you for the assist. Daniel Rameshvili says, how long are the, I don't know, because like Air National Guard usually uses ANG, but you could be saying Army National Guard, so I'm just going to assume that it's Army because this is an Army channel. So how long are the Army National Guard office contracts? Minimum 6 years if you're part-time, 4 years if you're active. Okay. And for Daniel, this is for you and any, this is for you and anybody else who's looking to go OCS. I did a video on OCS, so that'll address a lot of your questions about that and stuff. All right. Mirik says, question, in the process of enlisting with an interest in 11 Bravo infantry, what is the transition like since it is an OSUT and not like any other MOS? All right, so Mirik, I need to know if you're going active duty or National Guard as infantry, because that's going to give me, I don't really feel like explaining both of these because I'm going to play catch up with these comments, but let me know and I'll look over here. And you're welcome, Wesley. I see your hand gesture. Appreciate you. But yeah, let me know if you're going active or guard, and that'll help me tailor the response clearly and concisely and directly to you and anybody else who's interested. Kermerk kids, something like that. what is the minimum contract for the Army enlisted National Guard? So the minimum contract is 3 years. Maximum that we would probably offer you on a normal enlistment would be 6 years. Technically 8 is the maximum for a specific reason, like getting the student loan repayment program to max out the $50,000 payout or payoff program that they have through the student loan repayment program. So let me backtrack. Actually, you know what? Let me see. I think I did it. Nope, I guess I didn't. I should definitely do that. That's annoying. Anyway, minimum contract is 3 years. You get all the regular benefits, and the only difference is like education benefits. So any contract would get you in the Guard federal tuition of $4,000, and then state tuition assistance in respect to the individual state that you're in. So in New York, we'll pay up to your first 4-year degree 100% free to any community or state college or university, or up to the SUNY rate of a state university, which is, last time I checked, $7,070 towards a private university, plus the $4,000. So it's a little over $11,000 that you can use towards your private university. Again, state tuition is state contingent. So definitely check out this video here if you want to check that out. It breaks down the education benefits for all 3 components of the Army. You know, that good stuff. But yeah. And Mirk, you haven't responded yet, so I'm just gonna assume you're not here. And I'm not sure if you mean like the transition from training site to your unit in the Guard or active duty. Like, spell that out for me, and then I'll be able to respond to you. All right, so Kyung Lee says, this is Private Lee, who sent you the email a few days ago. I just want to say thank you. You're very, very welcome. I don't remember what I responded with, but you're welcome nonetheless. I do remember the name. I just don't remember what the body of the email was about. So let's see. Dead Shutter. Oh, that's to Dead Shutter. Oh, that's not for me. Andrews Concrete says don't join, and then this person asks, don't join. I'll get to you in a second, Andrew. All right, so we got Learning X and Animation says, I'm short 2 points for 25 Bravo, but I'm trying to go regular Army. Yeah, I know the National Guard will entertain it, and if they don't, let me know, and I'll reach out to them and I'll explain to them what the waiver department had told us during our battalion conference with the class that they taught us. But if you're going regular Army, listen, they're a stickler for not doing these types of line score waivers, so just tell them, just ask them to do it. If they do it, great. If they don't, then you're gonna have to retest. But learning arts, just so you're aware, as a prior service person, okay, good, I'll get to you, Merc, now that you responded. So as a prior service individual, when you retest for MEPS, you don't have to pass a test. That's only for initial enlistment into the United States Army or the military. So you just have to have the line score in which you're looking for to get for the MOS or opportunity you're going for. So when you go to retest, you don't have to stress about, oh man, I need that 31 or better. No, that's irrelevant. You can literally walk out with a 16 and no one gives an F. All right, just go in there, do your best. I can pretty much guarantee you that your line scores are going to improve because of the work experience that you have, depending at the time or the age that you originally joined. Like if you were super young and you joined and you got out and you worked and this, that, whatever, you've increased your skill set. I would definitely still brush up on my math and everything before that, but you don't have to pass the test. You just have to have the line score to get what you want, right? Now, as far as Murik, I'm going to Army National Guard. Now, with that being said, transition, I'm not clear on what you mean, what that transition is like. Do you mean transitioning from like civilian into a soldier, or What is the difference between OSUT versus basic training and AIT? Or do you mean the transition to once you complete your training, how do you transition back to being part-time in your hometown or wherever you signed up to be and assigned to the unit nearest you? Define that for me, and then I'll be able to respond back. But Army National Guard definitely helps out with addressing that for sure. Andrew Concrete says, it's not what it seems. Trust me, you end up with bullshit leadership. And Andrew Concrete, I appreciate your input and sharing your experience. And I'm sorry to hear that you had some not so good leadership during your experience in whatever branch of service that you're in. And unfortunately, you do not speak for everybody. And I will say this, right? When you serve in the military, yes, you're going to be subjected to good leadership, which doesn't happen too often, mediocre or average leadership, which happens often, and occasionally you'll have horrible leadership. And just because someone like Andrew Concrete here, who may or may not have experienced piss poor leadership, that's not necessarily the norm. That was just this person's experience. So take that with a grain of salt. I'm pretty much guarantee that everyone that's on this timeline right now in the chat box is not going to take that to heart. But I do want to address it because it is a valid concern, and it is a reason why people don't stay in the military. So it is a thing. It's not a thing, and he's not he or she's not saying anything that's not true or fact-based. There are situations within the military that people are subjected to, and to be honest with you, the majority of the time, we as the individual soldiers make decisions, good, bad, or indifferent, that may impact the leadership style that we receive from our superiors at the time that we're serving. And it depends on your work ethic, your attitude, being, having the ability to show up on time, being good at your job, doing more than what you're told to do or expected to do, and all that good stuff, right? And sometimes that still won't even matter, and you might just have a disgruntled, toxic leader, and that does happen. And you can only control what you can control. And if your military experience is less than stellar or less than what you expected, then it's your decision to leave. And you're not, you are stuck here until the end of your contract. But aside from that, like when your contract is up, like you have the ability to leave. No one's holding a gun to your head and making you stay in. They will entice you with incentives and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, right, it's how you talk to yourself in your head and how well you perform as a soldier, as an individual, as a human being. And having bad leadership above you is teaching you leadership lessons. So the positive out of it, if you want to say, for lack of a better phrase, is when you have good leadership above you, remember that, emulate that in your own way when you become a leader. And bad leadership tells you what not to do. And when you get to that position, that level, that sphere of influence, and the higher you the rank that you earn, the more influence that you're going to have over everybody else, right? So with that being said, when you become a leader, you're going to be the leader that you never had. And that's the way it should be. So the lessons that you'll learn from the people that are piss poor leaders are teaching you what not to do. Sometimes, even though we moving up the ranks may experience things that we don't agree with, we did not like, and we get into a similar situation, and we might not know the answer. We might not know a better way of doing something, but because that was our experience and we knew we didn't like it, but because we experienced it, that's what we end up using or doing to our own soldiers, and that's not good. So take the good qualities you can from a bad leadership and use that for yourself in your own way. And remember not to do the things that you didn't like and that's not proper or whatever. So that's what I have on that particular topic. And Andrew, I appreciate your comment and keeping 100 on here. And hopefully got something out of what I just shared, and for anybody else who's listening. But nonetheless, I appreciate you, Andrew, and I'm sorry that you had that type of experience. I'm sorry that you left feeling that. But with that being said, Dollar Bless says, if allergic to aspirin, will MEPS disqualify you? Yes, you're going to need a medical waiver. And I think that as long as you're allowed to take like ibuprofen or Tylenol or some other NSAID or whatever it's called, or non-NSAID, then you'll be fine. I think you could get a waiver for that, because there are other things that you could take. All right, so we got M5 up saying leaving tomorrow for MEPS. Out friggin' standing. Good luck. Make us proud. All right, so we got, I know I'm jacking your name up, but I'll just call you Mr. or Mrs. Lee. Sergeant, quick question. Is there any way to expedite the SAD mission in New York area? I applied for SAD mission, but I'm told that the waiting time is not guaranteed. Do you have any suggestions? Just for SAD, for Joint Task Force Empire Shield, just be patient, all right? Maybe follow up once a month, but it could take up to 4 to 6 months before you'll get onto that mission. So as people leave the mission is when they bring on new people. You will have a much easier way of getting on SAD or state active duty is to be on our asylum mission. So we got the people that illegally cross the border seeking asylum to stay in the United States that are being transported to New York. We're in charge of that mission to make sure that they're behaving at the hotel, that we give them access to their room. We literally have soldiers on each floor where they're at, and we use the key card to give them access to their room and making sure that everything is neat, orderly, they're fed, and all that good stuff, and some other things. So stay tuned for a future video on that. But you don't need a unit recommendation letter for that. You can apply for that, and you'll probably get on there quicker. So shoot me a direct message on Instagram. Let's have some dialogue. I might be able to, influence you to get on there faster rather than later. So let me know. All right. But with that being said, South Jersey Artisan says, if you haven't shipped, they can request an airborne. Okay, yeah, we talked about that. Josh Borden says, oh, hang on. Mirror. Difference between basic training and AIT. Gotcha. All right. So this goes for anybody. So if you're going combat arms, like, but not limited to infantry, field artillery, military police, Calf Scout, so on and so forth, you're going to go through OSUT, or one station unit training, where you have the same leadership, the same training post, same location, same barracks, nothing changes. And you do all your basic training requirements and your job training requirements all in that same however many weeks, upwards to 22 weeks. I know infantry and military police is around 22 weeks. So however long your training OSUT is, it's just basically meaning that you're doing your basic training requirements and your job training requirements in the same location. Those other people that are combat support, like myself as a 42 Alpha, we're going to do Army basic training and then a separate training for AIT, your advanced individual training. And hi, baby girl. How you doing? Juliana just posted in there. She said, hi, Dad, with the pink hand waving. Love you, baby. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. So with that being said, in AIT, and major differences, like if you get recycled in basic training, you could get recycled to an earlier phase or restart to the day one of Army basic training. And if you graduate and you move on to AIT and you get restarted or recycled, then it would be within AIT. The downside, I don't necessarily agree with this. I recently learned this about a year and a half ago, that if you get recycled in OSUT or restarted, you're going, even if you're in like black or gold phase, which is like the AIT portion of OSUT, let's say you have 2 weeks left. Instead of getting to the beginning of gold phase or black phase, like you would in AIT if you got restarted, if you get restarted or recycled, you could go all the way back to an earlier phase of basic training or day 0 of basic in OSUT. Those are the main differences. And the transition is, I'm not really sure what you mean by transition, but hopefully that addresses your question. And let's see. But yeah, that's the difference between the two. All right, so yeah, I guess I answered your question. And it, again, you have two different leadership between basic and AIT. All right, Josh says, at 44 years old, can I get an age waiver for active duty with 4-year prior service? Yes. As long as you can retire by age 62, so on or before your 62nd birthday, you can join. No waiver needed. So you're good to go. So hurry up. All right. Senator says hi, I think. I can't really see that far. South Jersey Artisan says just hearing tests with pressure tests. Oh, okay. Ricardo Colon says, hi, the Army have aid waivers. Yes, the highest aid waiver that I heard of was like 59 years old. Obviously prior service, but we had a non-prior service at 47 years old get approved recently from what the waiver personnel were telling us during our class a few weeks ago. But if you're coming in, so the whole thing is that normally they want you to be able to retire on or before your 62nd birthday per regulation, AR 601-210. But a waiver can be approved. However, you have to understand, and you basically sign a document stating that, yes, I am joining beyond the age of 42 years old, something along this line. You're joining beyond the 42nd birthday, and that you're not going to get a traditional retirement, and that you will only get whatever is matched in your 401k by the time you leave, and you can transfer that and continue your contributions after you leave the Army. So hopefully that makes sense. South Jersey Artisan says, if you are MOS qualified, you would have to file. Yeah, we already talked about that. Alex says, wait, take that back. PJs is the greatest job ever. Those guys are the saviors. I hear that. Every experience will differ. Exactly. See, you get it, Andrew. Young Savage for you, boo-boo. Ricardo for no prior service. Not sure what that means. Let me see what you said prior to this. Oh, yeah. Good to go. All right, so we got War Dam Photog says, hey, I ship out in 12 days as a 35 whiskey. What tips would you give for things to have folks send me in basic training? Pretty much nothing. But if you want the basic training packing list, you might be able to get something in there about AIT toward the end as far as a care package. But just buy the things you need at the Troop Exchange store while you're there, because it's authorized. If your family ends up sending you something that you can't use for whatever reason, it's going in the trash, or it will be held and given to you at the end after graduation. So just watch my basic training packing list video right there. All right, good luck to you, and may the training gods forever be in your favor. All right, so we got Bilvik. Do they pull up all of your medical records at basic training or anytime after MEPS? Watch these two videos to be in the know. But in theory, in general, no, they're not pulling anything at Genesis again once you get to reception. With the exception that if you go on sick call, you get injured, they need to know if it was a pre-existing injury or issue that may or may not have been identified at time of enlistment. And yes, at that point, if there is a medical issue at the training site because you went on sick call or went to the emergency room for any reason, yes, they will pull your records in Genesis and bounce your record off of the current condition that you're experiencing in that moment. However, in general, when you go through reception and throughout your training process, if you're doing just regular standard medical procedures, you're just uploading your new medical records into your medical reporting system. That's it. They're not pulling to see anything. You're just uploading to update your record. Kind of like when you go to your normal office and you have electronic medical records, they're just uploading it into your record. That's it. But the videos will help explain, dissect, and get a good overview of Genesis. All right. That was for Bilvik. So I'm going to come back to Splashing Tides in a second. I got a super chat coming in, or a super sticker, I think, coming from is it? I have it on like blackout mode, and it's kind of hard to see. I think it's can't tell, but yep. He's a new channel member, but I can't find the comment where he said, "Here we go." But appreciate you becoming a channel member. And if you got any ideas of what I could do for y'all channel members, let me know and we'll make it happen. So the whole purpose of me doing a channel members only section on YouTube was to do private live streams where it would feel more like a one-on-one intimate conversation addressing your questions and concerns. And every time I live stream, like nobody shows up, or like maybe one or two show up. So the theory behind it is if it doesn't exceed the maximum allowable people, like we could pull you onto the live stream. It's a private live stream. It's just for members only. But I could pull you on and we could see each other and talk to each other in conversation instead of just you typing in your question and me responding to it. Like it'd be more interactive, kind of like a small group session, but nobody shows up. I don't know, but appreciate you becoming a channel member. Like that, to me, that was like the biggest perk that I could give back to you guys for those of you who become channel members. But with that being said, appreciate you. Welcome to the private group, Mike, and thank you so much for supporting the channel. All right, so we were at Splashing Tides. I want to enlist into the Army National Guard. Should I worry about a civilian job before or after I enlist? My long-term goal is to get into law enforcement. All right, Splashing Tides. I'm gonna try to, if you're still here, are you still financially stable? Like maybe living with family, like your parents or something like that, and you know, in that lifestyle, like you don't need a job, but it's nice to have a job? Or like, are you unemployed and you want to go guard? Because that's going to dictate how I'm going to respond to this in a responsible manner. Like, I don't want to sit here, or basically, I don't want you to be like borderline, or if you are homeless, I don't want you to choose the National Guard because you're not going to live off of part-time pay, working one weekend per month and 2 weeks out of the year. You might be better off going regular Army instead, because you'll have that consistent stability of a roof over your head, food in your stomach, money going into your bank account, health benefits, dental benefits, vision benefits, and all that good stuff. But if you are able to mooch off of your parents until you join the Guard, finish your training, and get in your foot into the door of law enforcement, then yes, I think the National Guard would be a good bet for you. Now, I'm not sure what you're concerned about per se, but yeah, you definitely need to have some sort of employment to be in the National Guard, because again, you're not going to live off this unless you get a full-time job within the National Guard. Okay, so just throwing that out there, food for thought. So, Lion Dosus says, can you join the military if you had a spinal surgery? It's much as 20 years ago. It's possible. You never know, especially this day and age. But definitely check out this video for all the ins and outs and suggestions to increase your probability of getting a favorable decision on your medical waiver. Okay. And Splashing Ties says, I have 2 jobs at the moment. I do have support of my family. Okay, good. So you do have something. All right, perfect. Yeah. Then yeah, you're in a good position to be able to join the National Guard and pursue your aspirations and dreams to become a law enforcement officer or something within law enforcement. So with that being said, yes, I agree with you. Definitely go for it if you want. Now, I was gonna add something to that. Oh yeah, and this is to anybody who's joining the service. Whether you're going Guard, Reserve, or regular Army, which is full-time, or active duty is what we refer to it as. I don't care if it's part-time or full-time. Do not quit your job. Even if you ship out. Like I've gotten so many DMs over the past couple of years, especially during COVID, where people quit their jobs like a week or 2 or days before they actually ship out. And for some reason their ship date gets canceled and rescheduled. And then they're hanging out for another couple months or something crazy like that, right? Like, you don't know if you're going to successfully complete all of your military training. And where I'm going with that is, let's say you're in AIT and you get, like, I have a soldier now in OSUT for infantry, literally about to graduate. And he came up with a medical thing. And it sounds like they're going to chapter him out. I hope that they don't. I hope that he fights it. But nonetheless, like, you don't know. And, like, he needs this because this is going to be a game-changing commitment that he made. Like, he's going to be financially better off being a guardsman, getting on missions and stuff. Like, this is going to be great for him and his family. So I hope and I pray to God that he does not get discharged for medical reasons. But anyway, do not quit your job because you don't know. And you need something to fall back on in the event that your military plan falls through for one reason or another, whether it's within your control or beyond your control. So that's my word of advice to you. All right. Clary, welcome back. Apparently you can go home for 24 hours on graduation day. I've never heard of that, Claire. I've never heard of that. So, yeah. So, Mir, going to Pennsylvania National Guard, what is the process if you want to go National Guard to active duty? All right, Mir, I have just a video for you. Here you go. Guard to active duty right there. Boom. Done. Era Jason says, I have to join the Army Reserve with my finance degree along with my CDL with the intention to get my career experience out of reserve. DOE or do both CDL and 4-year degree will help me in the long run. Hang on, let me read this. Well, your CDL will work in your favor if you're going 88 Mike motor transport, and your finance degree, that's cool to have, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you'll have the test scores to do finance in the Army. And I'm not sure if it's a 4-year degree or not, but it could be possible that it could help you to commission and maybe get assigned into the finance corps, but it's not guaranteed. It's up to the needs of the Army at that time if you do commission. But with that being said, your finance degree doesn't do anything more than giving you more rank in general. It has nothing to do with an enlisted MOS, and it might help them put you in there if you commission as an officer. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Ghoul Boy Gaming says, trying to get into the Army now. The recruiter told me I must wait a year due to the fact that I was on certain medication. What are the chances that MEPS will let me through only a year off of them? I have no clue what type of medication you're on, Ghoul Boy Gaming, but check out this video because everything I need to say here is said in this video in more detail and more useful. I'm breaking it down in that video. All right, so we got Senator saying, which branch do you think is the easiest to commission as an officer? I've never been in any other branch of service, nor do I process any commissioned officer applicants in any other branch of service to make an informed statement on that, honestly. But yeah, maybe Army. Mon03 says, which reserve component is recommended for those who wish to become a flight warrant? I'm currently in my re-enlistment window and look highly forward to becoming a flight warrant in my reserve time. Well, the Army do warrant officers, and as long as you have a GT line score or of 110 or better, U.S. citizen, qualified for top secret clearance, passive flight medical, the the SIFT, and I think that's it. then you can do flight with us. But as far as any other branch service, I have no clue what their qualifications are. But yeah, if that's what you want to do, go for it. You're probably going to need a recommendation letter from an officer, though, if you're currently serving. Going to Fort Jackson, is it true they are lazy? No, not in my experience. In my experience, comparing my experience at Fort Knox, Kentucky for basic training, Fort Jackson AIT experience, for me, AIT at Fort Jackson was lacking discipline. But PT was more strict and more demanding and challenging at Fort Jackson compared to Fort Knox at that time. Again, that was my experience. It's OG says, how do you get in the CSP Skill Bridge program? No clue. I haven't heard of that. Unfortunately. Gio Franco, question. With hypertension, is an automatic disqualifier to join? I don't know if you were here earlier, but hyperthyroidism, non-waiverable, do not pass go, do not collect $200. You are a permanent no-go at this station. However, hypothyroidism, coming into the chat box now, are the things that you can do now that are within the last 6 months that you can submit. And if it's within the threshold or whatever it is that they're looking for with this particular condition, then no waiver needed, and you can join as is and continue your prescription. Pretty cool, pretty dope stuff. Otherwise, you're a no-go at this station. Daryl Wilson says, how hard is it to get retrained in the National Guard from 92 Fox to something in the 15? As long as the unit is willing to release you and the other unit commander is willing to accept you into there and you're otherwise qualified for it, then it's not hard. Ew, Xbox says, hey, what's up? It's OG says, is it true recruiting can stabilize you for 3 years or so you don't be deployable? If you come back from a deployment, yes, typically you'll be stabilized for 3 years. That is correct. And currently in the National Guard and Army National Guard only, for the participating states, as long as this is still a thing, there is a college first program that will guarantee you non-deployability for 2 to 4 years. Here's that video that explains it in the states that were participating at the time, but definitely ask your local Army National Guard recruiter if that's still a thing. All right, talk about that. Kenzie Sims says, is it possible for someone at 32 years old to make a career in the Army at 20? Yes, absolutely. Wesley asks, how likely is it to get Guard the Patriot system as Army National Guard? If it's in your area, very likely. If it's not in your area and you're not qualified for it, not an option. Brian Martinez says, I'm going to a National Guard recruiting office this Friday. What will I expect? You should definitely expect to do a practice test. All right, testing you on math, arithmetic, word knowledge, and paragraph comprehension. It's just a quiz, just to assess where you are currently. Does not count against you. It's just to see where you're at, to know where we can go and what your potential is. And not in this particular order, but what's supposed to happen is, what I recommend is what's in this video here. All right, title, do not join until you watch this video, but write down all your questions. Hopefully the recruiter will explain all the 5 W's, right? To include the H, which is the how, who, what, where, when, and all that good stuff, and how, right? Get to know you, find out what your goals and aspirations are, and show you or connect the dots to where you are now to how we can help you get to your goals quicker, faster, and cheaper. And then figure out what your options are from there, to include verifying your eligibility by asking you and re-asking you and rehashing the, have you ever been arrested, any law violations, medical issues, so on and so forth. Okay. And then the preliminary paperwork for your simple to complex pre-screen, depending on your medical history, so on and so forth. But yeah, so it could take a couple hours, so be prepared for that. But check out that video; it'll help you out in preparation for that first initial meeting. All right. Mike Williams asks or says the recycles here are crazy at Ordnance Island 91 series at Greg Adams. Seems like at least 10%, which I feel like is very high. It does seem kind of high. Mon says, I am very interested in becoming a flight warrant in the reserve time. Are you able to receive text on Instagram? Sorry. Yes, it is at this link, right? Instagram, or just look me up, Team Swartz, at Team Swartz on Instagram, and I got you. So we got Casey Miller with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. Thank you very much. Question. I have about 1 year left on probation. What can I do to work towards joining the National Guard during this time? What can I do now to speed up the process once I am on or off probation? All right, so you're going to have to get off of probation and clear it before you could attempt to possibly join. So depending on the original charges to what you were actually charged with in the disposition, and depending on those unique details, may warrant sourcing a copy of the arrest report and your court minutes, which is the curator that types everything up that's being said, whether you are or your file is before the judge. All right, so yeah. Hang on a second. I'm gonna come back to you, R. I got a super something or other from Music Inspiration. So Music Inspiration gave me a super chat. It says, do 31 kilos have dogs in AIT? I'm not sure about AIT, but yeah, you will. Well, it should have dogs in AIT because dog handler. But I personally have not been to 31 kilo school, and because we don't have that in our state, because we don't have a full-time military police unit or battalion to be able to participate in this, so I don't know personally, and I don't know anyone who I can reach out to see if they do. But actually, I could ask my RSP NCO if she's got any buddies on active duty that have that. I'll let you know. But that's a really, really good question. I would assume the answer is yes, but that's my educated guess, but not guaranteed to be accurate, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. But I appreciate you because you also did this one here. So I appreciate you, Music at Inspiration. Again, thank you for supporting the channel, and I'm sure that wasn't the response that you were looking for, but that's my honest response to that question. All right, so moving right along to our question. Is every MOS infantry? No. Shipping out to basic February 5th as a water treatment specialist. What? Hang on. You just asked me, is every MOS infantry, but you're telling me you're shipping out as a water treatment specialist. It's so weird. You just answered your own question. The answer is no. Not everyone is infantry. Now, everyone goes through basic infantry skills training at basic training, but they don't go through enough of that training or extensive training to earn the MOS or the job qualification to be infantry. But you are taught the basics at basic training before you move on to your job specific training. So hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, you confused me with that one on, not gonna lie. Mike Williams says, no problem with the hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate you. This person says, I will be talking to a recruiter tomorrow. Hopefully I can move forward with my juvenile record. As long as it's finalized and it's done and it's otherwise eligible for a waiver, good to go. This can't be a pending or open case. So if there's any type of thing, like in New York, we have something called a conditional release, which is like a form of probation, meaning that the judge gives you a condition. Stay out of trouble for 6 to 24 months. If you do so, we'll dismiss your case. So in that time frame, you're under unsupervised probation. So as long as you don't get another ticket or an arrest, they will ultimately dismiss your case. So that's an open case. So until that conditional release has been concluded or completed to include any community service, then you can go ahead and apply for the military. So hopefully that makes sense. All right. So Iron Trunk says, hey, Lewis, I have a VA rating of 0% disability or multiple deployments. Any idea if they would lose that if joining the Guard while in the Guard? Well, I'm not sure what percentage you actually have because it says 0. So just letting you know it's a typo for sure. But with that being said, 30% or less, no issues, provided you can get past MEPS, like you can join. National Guard specifically, if you're above 30%, you're not eligible to join the National Guard. You might be able to join the reserve and understand that anything over 30 or 50%, if you can get past MEPS and you can achieve the medical waivers to get back in, if you can, then you're going to be drilling or working for points or reduce. Like if you go active duty, then a significant decrease in pay because you're being compensated through your disability pay. But yeah, that's a whole conversation for another video, but it's too complicated for me to discuss here now. But understand that, yeah, it's too complicated. I'd be here for a minute, and it's not necessarily something I'm comfortable speaking on because I'm not too experienced in that area. But with what I do know, yeah, can't go Guard to over 30%. Reserve might take you. Active duty may be a no-go, but yeah. Just if you're doing it for points and you are able to get into the reserve or the Guard, then anything again beyond 30%, just make sure that you're filling out the proper paperwork to handle your pay situation, so you don't get overpaid and have to pay that back at the end of the year. So yeah. All right, so I'm gonna come back to you, Ricardo. Give me 1 second. Got another super chat coming in from Prestige 716. So I have to go to MEPS in a week. I use THC. I am stopping for the Army, but I wanted to use a cleanse to pass the test. What do you think? Don't do it. Don't use cleanses. Do it the normal way. All right, because sometimes using a cleanse is going to trigger something on the drug test. So I would just steer clear from cleanses. I would just drink a gallon or more of water a day, a gallon or more of water per day, and do 45 to 60 minutes of cardio once or twice a day to help sweat it out. Drink some grape juice, things of that nature, and maybe some over-the-counter detox. Not a let me take a cleanse detox drink or something because I want to remove THC. I'm just talking about like a normal detox supplement, nothing that's related to trying to pass a drug test. Again, those may trigger the drug test. And then just wait it out 30, 60, 90 days. I've only had one person in my almost 20 years worth of recruiting that I had to wait over 90 days to be able to pass the drug test. But typically, if you're a heavy every day, multiple times a day, big old fatty or whatever they call it, then you might have to wait 60 plus days. But for the average person who occasionally smokes here and there, 30 to 45 days is the average, 60 worst case scenario. But the ultimate worst case scenario in my experience is over 90 days. And yeah, but you could definitely do the ASVAB test, get that out of the way for sure. And then once you're able to pass an over-the-counter drug test for THC, then schedule yourself for MEPS for the medical. Do not go to MEPS if you're not going to pass it. Right, you're wasting your time and your recruiter's time, and if you do end up signing your contract same day, when your analysis comes back positive, then you will be discharged and you will need a waiver if your branch of service that you're trying to join offers you a waiver. Army currently right now brought back the waiver, but yeah, don't play yourself. You know what I'm saying? So let me go back up to where I last left off, but good luck to you. I'm glad you're getting off of it. All right, so Ricardo Colon says, thank you very much for answering my question. I have a full-time job and I would like to complement it with a job in the National Guard. Absolutely. You're earning 2 retirement pensions from 2 different organizations and then some. If I could, like, as much as I love recruiting, if I could do it over again, I would get another city, state, or federal job and do these 2 simultaneously to include other hobbies or side hustles and become a true entrepreneur and really set myself up for success post military career. But that's neither here nor there. Slightly envious of you, so good luck with that. I support it. Go for it. All right, Splashing Tides. I have 2 jobs at the moment. I do. Oh yeah. All right. Fabe says, what does option 40 mostly wash to? I'm not sure what you mean by wash to. And I'd have to Google what option 40 is again, honestly. Is that Ranger School? I don't know. That's an active duty thing. I don't know anything about option 40, honestly. Eventually, when I bring on Erica if Jersey Artisan or South Jersey Artisan is still here, he could probably address that. He was a former active duty Ranger. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. I don't know anything about option 40. And I'm not sure what you mean by wash to. But with that being said, if you qualify for it and it's available, they'll give it to you. All right, it's random. How would you be successful in basic training? Do what you're told. Do what you're told. Do what you're damn well told. And half the battle is showing up. So be on time, which is 15 minutes early. If you're on time, you're late. And well, late, you're late. So attention to detail. Teamwork is a key. Lean on your battle buddies. Do your best. Have a positive attitude. Work hard. And it's too easy. There you go. All right. So Claire says apparently you go. Oh, where to put that? All right, Mike Williams. Really, really good question. Might not have a lot of time to be able to do it because I'm about to wrap things up tonight. But this is my guard versus reserve video that talks about the pros and cons, the similarities and differences. This is probably going to be the most unbiased explanation video of the two that you will find on YouTube and probably ever online. All right. The only instance that I say otherwise is if you're going to college and you only want to be part-time and you want to maximize the monetary payout for college and finish college in an aggressive, fast-paced, like a normal college student. And I'm always going to recommend the guard for that because of our state tuition assistance and what is in this video that will explain it, the National Guard Reserve Army Education Benefits video. So definitely go check that out. All right. But the major difference is reserve. So think of the regular Army as Big Daddy, and then their son or daughter is the Army Reserve, and then you got the stepchild over here, which is the National Guard. So we wear the same name tape as the Department of the Army, but the main difference is the National Guard is a state militia. All right. I don't know what that was about. However, comma. It's like one of my favorite phrases. Let me see if I can find the comment I was just at before I got disconnected. Uno momento, por favor. All right, I think we were here. What is the difference between basic training? Oh, not that. Oh, here we go. Difference between Guard and Reserve. So the National Guard is a state militia. Each state in U.S. territory has its own National Guard. So there's 54 of us all in all. But with that being said, the Reserve only supports Big Army in overseas missions. The National Guard does the same, sometimes leads missions and doesn't do anything with active duty, like we lead our own missions. But for the most part, we just support Big Army and things like that. And the main difference is that the National Guard, our sole responsibility, what we're more known for, what attracted me to the National Guard, is helping out our individual states and communities in times of need, whether that be for a natural disaster, state emergency, pandemics, we can add on there now, right? Homeland Security, Border Patrol. We do everything but not limited to filling up sandbags, conducting search and rescue missions, delivering food, water, supplies, personnel, or equipment, maintain law and order. You know, if there's any civil unrests, kind of like the BLM and stuff like that went on across the country at one point, and the invasion of the White House and so on and so forth. We do all kinds of different things within our community and whatever our governor deems necessary. Our governor for each respective state is in charge of the Army National Guard for that state, or Air National Guard, and we follow the direction of them. They are our commander-in-chief for all state missions. Occasionally, they will lend us out to Big Army when we're requested by the president, and when we're under the control of the president, that's when we can be sent here or overseas for federal missions. And in that support could be anything for like peacekeeping missions. I'm having a brain fart here, getting tired. Peacekeeping missions, combat missions, obviously, and getting the third thing, humanitarian missions. Woo, had a bald moment. Hell yeah. So anyway, so those are 3 things that we can do overseas as well. And so we're very versatile, and we do a lot more than a reserve for sure. So if you just want to do 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, and that's it, and not be exposed to anything else or any major opportunities, then go reserve. If you want more of an opportunity than compared to the reserve, then go guard. So I did a video comparing the two, active duty versus guard or reserve. You can check that out. New York says, what is the difference between basic training and when you were in basic? I think lacking discipline is a big thing, and it's just a different type of people going through training now compared to when I went in. It's kind of like those video memes of like somebody from the 80s, they stubbed their toe, they're like, ow. Then the 90s like, ow. And then someone from the thousands like, ow, son of a. And then you know what the last one does. It's kind of like that, right? It's just a different type of person going through training. So we have to adjust to the times, to the type of people that are going. It's true. Like whether you're Gen Z, boomer, this, that, whatever, like we all have unique differences in value-based systems and what we feel is important to us. And you just have to tailor your leadership and the training to the type of person that's going at that time. So we do have to adjust the times. Nobody likes change, but it's the only thing that's constant is change. But the basic training requirements pretty much all the same. Music Inspiration says, I want Martin Gonzalez, Mavney's never coming back. Well, I shouldn't say never, but as of right now, they say it's never coming back. It's Random says, how can you work full-time in the guard? Watch this video. Full-time National Guard Reserve. Boom. Watch that. It's Random. Josh Borden, are there any waivers for RE4 separation codes, patterns of misconduct? Really depends on your record, but it is a possibility as long as it's from another branch of service. So just so you understand, like if you got an RE4 from the Marine Corps, you cannot go back to the Marines. If you got an RE4 from the Army, you cannot go to the Marines. I'm actually working an applicant now that was in the Navy, got an RE4, not for pattern of misconduct, erroneous entry, but they have an RE4 and I'm processing them. So it is possible. It just depends on the reason and the record and the discharge packet and how messed up it is. All right, so skill bridge is when you transition out of the military. Usually has criteria of when to apply and all that good stuff. Oh, okay. I forgot what the question was, but yeah, I'm about to go through that myself. Actually, I'm going to vlog that whole process. That's going to be a good video. I'm going to start that soon, actually. John Edwards says, what happens if you already in college and wanting to join the military? Well, depending on how many credits you have, you're going to come in at a higher rank and have access to state education benefits if you go guard, or federal benefits for all branches and components of the Army. I heard 13 Alpha is really needed in the Army. Is that true? Not really sure. I just put them in boots. As long as they're willing to accept them. It's Random says, will my spouse receive college benefits from my GI Bill? Eventually. So once you complete at least 6 years of service and you extend for at least 4 more years, then you can transfer your post 9/11 GI Bill for you active duty folks. Or for those who deploy or do and complete at least 90 consecutive days of qualifying federal active duty service to qualify for 50% or better, depending on their cumulative active duty time, to qualify for a higher percentage of the post 9/11 GI Bill to their dependents or their spouse. But you can check the va.gov website for the post 9/11 GI Bill requirements and all the nitty-gritty details around that. Ace Boppy says, finally caught a live. It's Duncan. How are the success rates looking for this year for waivers? Pretty good in my opinion. Prior service and in need medical and moral, if you remember. Yes, I actually was looking at your file. If you're still here, I doubt it. But if you're still here, just so you know, I was gonna reach out to you tomorrow or Monday. But yeah, I found your file and we're gonna make it happen now. Things are starting to slow down on my end, and I can breathe, and yeah, we'll make it happen. But yeah, I'll reach out to you sometime tomorrow through Monday. Key Dog says, can you change my address at processing or at MEPS before I get to the plane to OSUT? I have a different address now, but my contract has the old address. As soon as you change your address, you need to tell your recruiter so they can knock out a DA form 5960, change of address basically, and they'll update that. And you're also going to need to give your recruiter a new reference that you haven't used in your packet to verify that you in fact do live there. And that's only important for the investigator to be able to, conduct and complete their background investigation on you. So with that being said, yeah, just tell your recruiter. They'll knock out the paperwork. They'll update it into Recruiter Zone, which will update your SF-86, which is your security questionnaire for the background investigation, and the date that you moved in and all that good stuff. So yeah, tell your recruiter and they'll make it happen. Daryl Wilson asks, what is some Army benefit that you wish you knew about early on before basic training? There wasn't anything that I eventually learned that I wish I knew, honestly, in my case. But good question. I've never had that one before. Good. Jamie Perez says, hashtag Team Swartz. Appreciate that, as always. JK Track says, why did you join the military if you did join the military? I did join the military, and I'm still in the military. I joined because I like giving back to people. I chose the National Guard over the other branches for 2 reasons. 1, the recruiter respected me and treated me like a human being, not a number for the month. 2 is because I genuinely like helping people, and that's what the National Guard is all about, right? I don't know why the balloons just came up, but it's pretty dope. Let me see if I get a thumbs up. We'll see if that works. But anyway, good question. Chicken Nuggets, awesome name, says, can I get an option 4? I think you mean option 40 contract in the National Guard. Only if we have a Ranger unit in that state. If there are no Ranger units, then no option 40. And pretty confident that option 40 is for active duty only and maybe reserve, not National Guard, but you can get Ranger if there's a Ranger unit in your state, and there's not a lot of states that have it. I know we don't have it here. So. Fan of Lovecraft says, is it possible for someone with high functioning autism spectrum disorder to join the Guard if you don't take medication or have any issues? All right, so really good question. Oops. You're gonna want to check this video out for sure, but what they're looking for is when you were in school, which I'm pretty confident you were, enrolled into IEP and what your 504 plan said. If you were a high functioning autistic person that only got maybe a little extra time on tests, maybe, and this is pushing it, maybe had questions read to you, then it's possible you may qualify for a waiver. But if you were like full-fledged in a special ed class with all kinds of special needs to help you and facilitate completing school and testing, then you'll be a no-go at this station. But check out that video. If you got any other questions, you can direct message me on Instagram at Team Swartz, and I got you. All right, I'm really doing a video at some point in the future on this particular topic. Don't hold your breath, it's going to be a minute. But I will have at some point get to it. But yeah. Yeah, if you fill out a ranger school, and if you're going to like the actual ranger battalion or whatever they call it in active duty, then yeah, you'll have to reclass to something else. Awesome, it did a bubble. All right, so let's see. John Edwards says, are all branches, National Guard, Navy, Marine, Air Force, a part of the Army? And what is the difference between the Army and the military? All right, the military is just a general term for every branch of the military, whether it's Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, Space Force, and so on and so forth. Each one has a unique role. Air Force is obviously air support. Navy is sea support. Marines are amphibious, both land and sea. Army is a land-based force. Space Force, you guessed it, outer space support. But yeah, we all play a unique role, and not one is better than the other, in my opinion anyway. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't see why not, but again, I don't deal with ranger schools or ranger battalions at all, so it's not my forte. All right, but with that being said, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Thank you. And if you have any questions, if I didn't get to you tonight, you are important to me. Do direct message me on Instagram at Team Swartz. Okay, here's the link. You can email me here if that makes it easier for you, teamswartzmedia@gmail.com. I will get to you within the next few days, probably by Monday the latest. And if it's something simple, I'll give it to you quick. But if it's something complex that's going to take a few brain cells to respond back, then it'll probably be closer to Monday when I respond. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Thank you. And I will see y'all soon. Take care. Stay blessed. Be good. Team Swartz signing out.